Let's get ready for our very first Super Bowl fantasy penny stock football. Look at everybody chanting, yes, yes, yes. If you don't know what fantasy penny stock football is, it is a fun way in order to keep track of your biggest winners and your biggest losers. But before we dive into our team when we last saw them, ¿Qué pasa familia de dinero? I'm your host, Hacho, a truck driver on the Detour Tour 12, and I hope that you join us on the journey. And we're on this journey to 1,000 subscribers. Shout out to all the new subscribers and old. Here's a round of applause to you. If you're new to the channel, we provide knowledge and entertainment all locked in here in one. If you like what you see, hopefully you subscribe and join us on the journey. And with that being said, I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I a crystal ball, and you will lose money in the stock market. With all that out the way, let's go ahead and roll that intro. Top down on your rooftop, I'm talking you. All the way when we started fantasy penny stock football, I was very much unsure if I should have continued this series, and I've learned a lot of good things and a lot of bad when it comes down to fantasy penny stock football, but I definitely want to amp it up in season 2. Let's go ahead and review our team last time we saw it. Okay, so this is going to be a brief overview as to what fantasy penny stock football is. You have 5 positions. You have 2 receivers, which is going to be this top area right here. Those are the ones that can move forward, and this bottom one is going to be your receiver. In the middle is going to be your running back. They make short moves. You have tight end that is able to go back or forward in the price that you set, and then quarterback can do the same. We're going to review if I was correct on some, and we rate it on a 2 kind of sound effect levels. You have touchdown, of course, and then boo, you stink. Yes, unfortunately. So hopefully we come out on the win. I already know what has happened. Let's go ahead and dive into the comparison. Starting off with our biggest mover in the receiving position, we have ARBE Robotics. And unfortunately, we left them at $2.82 about 2 weeks ago. Looking back at it, of course, this is what happens when you review things about 2 weeks. You got to do some damage control, but I said it could go up to $3.10. Unfortunately, it has fallen significantly down. And so it's at the $2.70 level. That is going to give me a boo, you stink. When it comes down to news, we have ARBE Robotics wait for a better entry ahead of Robotics Revolution. Take that into consideration. Unfortunately, it's not looking too good for ARBE. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. In the running back position, we have Richtech Robotics, and last time we saw them, they were at the $3 level, $3.11. They have since fallen drastically to $2.43 post-market, and that's gonna leave me a boo, you stink. That kind of sucks. When it comes down to news, there isn't any. We kind of already covered this. This is old news. So let's move on to our next player. Next in our bottom receiving position, we have Pot of Zero. Last time we saw them, they were at the $2 mark. And unfortunately, I had said that, hey, it's going to go up to $2.50. It has since fallen post-market to $1.83, leaving me with a boo, you stink. Quite unfortunate, and news that is very much bullish, but unfortunately wrong time for it. Pot of Zero integrates its precision airdrop system, the Drop Air, with military drone to deliver critical blood transfusions on the battlefield. Something very bullish, unfortunately did not move the stock to go up to its high heights. All right, next. Let's get to it. In the tight end position, we have MicroCloud Hologram. Last time we saw it, it was $1.71, and I said if it moves forward, it can go to $1.90. If it moves back, it could get to $1.50. But at post-market, it finished at $1.49, leaving me with a touchdown. And many of you are confused. How is it a touchdown when you lost money? Well, it's about your prediction. And that's why you place these kind of positions correctly. Because if you do, you can still end up with a touchdown. Now, if it did not go past the $1.50 mark, I would have lost, because regardless, even if it did go down and say it's $1.51 like it did at close at 4 p.m. and just stayed that way post market, I would have had a boo you stink. But I still came out on top. Anyway, when it comes down to short interest, it grew by 104.3%. So people are shorting this stock immensely. Take that into consideration. All right, Nauticus Robotics kit. That's going to be in our quarterback position. And it was at $2.27 the last time we saw this bad boy. It has since fallen drastically, and it's not looking too good. Being at the $1.65 position right now, unfortunately, that leaves me in the touchdown location, because it did go past the $2.10 call that I made. But when you look at the team as a whole, unfortunately, it is not strong. And we are in kind of turbulent times. There are going to be adjustments made, and I think that this has been Mach 1 of the fantasy penny stock football. I imagine that I might be amping it up, making the thing, making this diagram more comprehensible, more interactive. So look out for season 2 as a drastic upgrade. I plan to keep on doing this. Next time that football season comes back, we're gonna come back with this. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Hall of Fame winners. Okay, so welcome to the Hall of Fame, and there's gonna be 2 that made it out of the fantasy penny stock football league, and I have to say shout out to the first one being Rigetti. Rigetti, when we started, was at $3, and I mean, it has since then exploded. Concurrently, it's sitting at a price of $13.22, doing fantastic, almost 1,000% in 1 year. And it's fantastic to see this player go skyrocketing and trying to go way past its high heights. With that being said, congratulations to Rigetti, a little confetti, and who else is gonna go up on this wall? D-Wave Quantum, and that's going to be ticker symbol QBTS. Now, this one had made great moves. Unfortunately, it did not kind of resurface to its high heights. It's sitting in limbo. But nevertheless, when we got it, it was at the $4 level, spiked to $5, and then it did a crazy run all up to near $10. So in the 1 year, it's up 602%. Shout out to D-Wave Quantum. Okay, so this week of Fantasy Penny Stock Football is not going to be any other week where I kind of just set out my predictions. I'm going to actually review a lot of the footage that I made on this series and learn from it and see how I can do an interactive, more clean process of Fantasy Penny Stock Football next time it comes around. Be on the lookout of Blue Chip Baseball. I'm excited to bring some big boys that are making big moves. We're going to create a whole new thing when it comes down to Blue Chip Baseball. Certain things that I've learned. Number one is, once you notice a repeating loser, you should get rid of it. Of course, MicroCloud Hologram is what started this channel, and I kept them. But a lot of other stocks I actually cut. For instance, Dragonfly. Got rid of that one. Even though it showed strong promise, it did not perform the way I liked. So I had to cut it from the team. Some other ones I've noticed, like MicroCloud. Of course, these ones have potential to pop, but it was more speculative than anything, and proof was in the pudding that it was on a downward spiral. When it comes down to it, I also learned that proper placement of your teammates in order to get a touchdown every week is very important. So that's why you have a lot of these bullish movers, and then you notice that, okay, these individual stocks are not making me any money, and that goes on to number one. Number three really has taught me what can move the market. And if you know economic data that's going to come out, and I have a newsletter about every Sunday that I release on economic news, my final thoughts of how the week is going to go, and all that and more, you guys can sign up below. And you'll get my free ebook. It's a very short read. But with that being said, I've learned a lot of things that sometimes what might be a bullish one week, it can change. And lastly, This is a bonus one, is sometimes what you think is a loser can then come out on top and absolutely surprise you. Rigetti has surprised me, and I'm glad that Rigetti is announced to be a Hall of Fame member. On top of that, D-Wave as well. Some of these price points start off in, as a penny stock. We literally covered Rigetti when it was at $3. And now at 13, there's no denying that I'm very proud that not everyone is a big winner, but there are some in these penny stocks that might surprise you. Thank you so much for being a Fantasy Penny Stock member. Hopefully you kept track of your biggest winners and your biggest losers, and I will catch all of you, Familia de Dinero, in the next one. And if you only come to the channel for Fantasy Penny Stock Football, well, I'll see you next season. Adios.